Hello everyone and welcome back to this channel. If you're new, welcome, hi, and if you've been here before and you've seen some of my videos already, thank you so much. I've had some really encouraging comments recently which have been nice because sometimes you feel like doing these kind of videos, who's going to be interested, who's going to care what I have to say. So that's purely my own thoughts, no one has said that, it's just me in my head. So it's been really nice to hear some encouraging comments from some of you who watch, so thank you. Today we're going to be looking at a watercolour painting that I had the idea to do following my last video. So it's sort of an extension of the idea which plays on loneliness. And I'm going to describe a little bit more of what I'm doing to you in a second. And I think the only watercolour I've done on this channel was right at the beginning. So we're going to be using a combination of watercolour and also bits of gouache. If you're interested in art and forming a kind of like supportive art community on this format, then please consider subscribing and that'd be great. And if you like the video, click the like button below and leave a comment so I know if you enjoyed it or not. And if you have anything that you are interested in watching that I haven't talked about, if you want me to go back to another topic, whether it's drawing or a particular medium, just let me know in the comment section below. Good morning everyone, or good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the world if you're listening to this video. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I'd like to keep this video super chill. I've not been feeling 100% this week, and I'm so glad that I finished this video, but I was very keen to just keep it very mellow, very relaxed. So as I said at the beginning, I'm going to be doing a watercolour painting, tackling a watercolour, and I was really thrilled to be going back to watercolour because I've only done one other watercolour video since I started a YouTube channel, and it was the very first one, which was a self-portrait, and before then I hadn't done watercolour for what felt like ages. It was last in the winter of 2019 that I was doing watercolour. So it's really nice to go back to it again with a much larger painting, and I know that I'm combining it with gouache, which I was super excited about that idea. I've been watching a girl called Ludwig, a German girl, and she's brilliant. I'll be posting her details down in the description box below. I really love her artwork. It's got like a really funky style to it, and I would definitely recommend checking out her Instagram and her YouTube channel. So she had used gouache and watercolour in a painting, and I loved how bold the gouache was, combined with the very sort of classical effects she'd done with the watercolour. And I was just super excited to try this out for myself and use it on my own, in my own way, on my own ideas and topic. So in my last video, which if you didn't watch, I did a mermaid gouache painting. I'll post the link up above, so if you click on that link it will take you to the video if you haven't already seen it. So I thought, having done that video, that I was sort of done with mermaids, that I'd got it out of my system. I wasn't going to do another for a while, but apparently I was wrong, and I still had some mermaids in my brain that needed to get out on paper. So I've endeavoured to do another one, but it is a completely different approach and style. My last one was a bit more animation based, and this one is perhaps a bit more, I want to say classical, for want of a different word. I've tried to be a bit more naturalistic. I'm not really a big fan of realism, especially not hyperrealism, because I just feel if you're doing hyperrealism, you're not really painting a picture. You might as well take a photo, but I will elaborate on that in another video. So I'm trying with my style to kind of create something between, I want to create and use the expressions and like all the exaggeration that you might find in things like more cartoon styles and more stylized. And also I want to borrow some of the realism. So I'm trying to create my slice of my style, as it were, kind of between the two. And I'm fairly confident that if I carry on as I am and just continue to be open to learning and open to trying new ideas, that my own style is just going to naturally develop and evolve into whatever it's going to become. But those are sort of the ideas that are flowing through my head when I'm painting. I was super happy with the background on this painting. I love the colours that I've used. Don't think I've gone down this colour route as yet, but I knew when I started that I wanted to create quite a muted colour palette. I'm trying more and more with the paintings that I'm doing to limit the use of my colour palette. So I don't want all the colours of the rainbow. I'm just trying to keep it in a group of colours. I think that can sometimes be more effective if done correctly. So that's what I'm trying to achieve. But I was so happy with the colours, and especially because I thought the watercolour paper had buckled and warped, and I was really, really gutted because it's an expensive watercolour paper. I was using Arches watercolour paper hot pressed, which, by the way, if you don't know, hot pressed is smooth watercolour paper and cold pressed is textured watercolour paper. So this was hot pressed, so it was smooth. Yeah, I'm right. I had to check that for a minute. But I am right. Hot pressed is smooth, cold is textured. Sometimes I get them mixed up and the other way around. So yeah, hot pressed is smooth, and that's what I was using for this. And I was actually thrilled because by the time the background had dried, it was flat as a pancake, which is just the way I like my watercolor paper. So I was really, really, really happy with the quality. I've heard about papers sort of, as they become old, the quality kind of deteriorates. But fortunately that isn't the case, and it isn't what's happened here. I wanted to create an impression of, I really wanted to create a strong expression of sort of indifference and almost boredom with this particular mermaid, because I wanted to play on the idea that I had previously done in my other video of loneliness. And I also wanted to combine that with the idea of there being really light, her being really close to the surface of the water, and it more about being a sort of disdainful indifference towards humans, since she can't join in, so she's frustrated, and that's just all the way it's always been. I was really quite anxious though to paint her face. I didn't want to make any mistakes, especially as I've not really done it properly before. So I was actually quite pleased. And in my previous video, I made the scales of the tail look more like a fish, as in sort of smooth and blended together. And in this one I really wanted to create a pattern to show the scales as very much more of a bold abstract pattern, rather than let them slip away and disappear into the background as I did on my previous video. This painting, I'm going to be starting with watercolour, and then I'm going to move on to, I'm going to do the gouache at the end. So it's mostly going to be watercolour, then gouache, and then I'm also going to use some colouring pencils just to kind of refine details. So the watercolours that I use is tubes, this is Winsor and Newton Professional Watercolour Series 1, and I also have these tubes, which are the Winsor and Newton again, except it's Cotman watercolours, so they're the same brand, they're slightly different. I have these tubes in all the primary colours, so red, yellow, blue, and I have them in cold and warm colours. So on the colour wheel you will have, of every colour, you'll have a warm version and a cold version of that colour. And the best thing I can use to describe it is these yellows. So this is a warm yellow, and this is a cold yellow. So this is a yellow deep, and this is a Winsor lemon. So this is a cold one, this is a warm one. So I have warm and cold of every primary colour, of all the primary colours. And I also have a white and one of my favourites, this one, it's a grey. It's not really grey, it's called Payne's grey. And it actually is closer to black. And I use this grey in place of black, because when you use black from your watercolour palette and it's just black, it can be very flat and it can kind of suck other colours, drain other colours, and when you mix it with other colours it can make it look a bit muddy. But when I use this grey actually has some blue mixed in. So if you use a black, I recommend mixing a little bit of purple or a little bit of blue, depending on what your piece is. This one has some blue, and it's great because it creates that kind of extra bit of depth and vibrancy, and it creates nicer colours to blend with. So I would recommend doing that. I prefer it. You don't have to do it for tiny details like eyelashes or something. You can use regular black, but I would recommend using a grey like this. So other than tubes, I also have a watercolour palette. This is a Winsor and Newton watercolour palette, and this one is actually a travel one. So I put my finger through like that, and I can use it like this. I don't. I use it as a regular palette, but you can use it for that. And in this watercolour palette I have all the basic colours: browns, greens, blues, reds, oranges and yellows. It's really basic, and it's so dirty right now. These are all the colours that I used on my last commission. I'm not too fussy about like cleaning my palettes, but I don't need any of these colours for what I want to do today, so I'm gonna have to get rid of them. So I found this has been so useful, and I use my watercolour palette
for like general washes, and I use the tubes for things. These are more vibrant. These have a better, more vibrant colour. So if I want something to stand out, I would use a tube. Things like eyes, lips, and if I want just general washes or general colours, or I need to kind of mix with one of these because they're already primary, then I'll use this. So I have the best of both worlds. And for my highlights, I use, which I have shown a gazillion times before in my videos, it is my favourite thing, and apparently there's a hole in the tube. That is my designer's gouache in white. It's so useful for highlights, so I use that.
I was not feeling super great on Thursday. I was really excited because I was finally gonna put the gouache on the paper, and it was the part I was really looking forward to, and I was feeling a little bit deflated, a bit just not very well. For various reasons. I'm glad to say I'm feeling much better now. But just while I was doing this whole painting, it was very low-key, low energy. But determination to get it out on paper and finish what I had set out to achieve. In the end, I was actually quite happy with the gouache. I've had problems with this gouache being quite streaky before, and nothing changed there. It still was on this initial layer of the kind of sort of dark green. It still came out streaky, but when I added the other layer of the purple, I managed to cover that, and it wasn't really an issue anymore. I knew that I wanted to make them two-toned. I wanted to create the purple to be sort of the underside of the leaves and green to be on top. I have in this room where I do all my art, I have a couple of prayer plants. I think calatheas, I think is the proper name. And if you have any yourself, you'll know that they're so hard. They're so hard to grow. At least mine are. They're really quite fussy. But prayer plants or calatheas are purple on the underside of the leaf, and they have a really pretty, lovely pattern, a green pattern on the top. They're very pretty plants. They're just very particular about the environment that they live in and the water that you give them. So I'd kind of imitated the colouring from those plants when I was painting these.
welcome back. So it's a brand new day. It's now Friday. Doesn't feel like Friday. There's still plenty to do, so I'm just going to crack on and carry on painting. I'm not feeling very well, so it's just going to be a chill couple of hours. Hopefully I'm going to try my very best to get everything finished that I want to get finished. So yeah, let's just have a nice chill time painting. So I'm going to be using some colouring pencils that I was gifted. They're not the most expensive, I don't think, but, well, I don't know, I have no idea I was gifted them. But, but there's a very kind of broad range of colours. So that's what I'm going to be using. And I'm going to be working kind of on this section here.
Friday was a very good day. We were finally getting into the nitty-gritty details, which are parts I love. I very much think that you should build paintings up in layers now, but when I was younger, I wanted to do all of the details all at once. Because that's the most exciting bit, and I think that's the bit that a lot of people get drawn into. In my next video, I am going to be doing a drawing faces video, sort of a tutorial on how I approach drawing faces and the most key elements that I think are important. So if you're interested in drawing, and specifically drawing faces, then you would definitely want to check out that video, because we're going to be going through it together, and I'm going to be explaining why you should try certain things and why you shouldn't do some things. So definitely tune into that video if you're interested in drawing. I'm really excited. I have a couple of ideas following that one, which kind of revolve around, I did a competition before, and it has I don't think it would necessarily be a competition, but it's definitely going to have I would like people watching to participate in a way in the comments. So I'll explain more about it in my next video, but I am quite looking forward to doing that, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. I want to keep an element of involving people who are watching, because I'd like to create this sort of community vibe. So the more we can all participate, I just think that makes for more interesting art. So we'll see, but I'm looking forward to giving that a go. And I think I'm getting better at this whole editing malarkey as well. So hopefully I'm be able to produce videos quicker. At the moment, I post every 2 weeks on either a Sunday, Monday, or a Tuesday. I'm going back to Sundays, so I'll be producing a video every second Sunday of the month. I'm not quick enough yet, amongst other commitments and editing, to do it every week, but maybe sometime in the future I'll get used to it and I'll get the rhythm.
Is it bad that I actually really like this, like, a stripy tape? I'm like, that's actually quite a cool border.
I hope you liked watching this video, and I really hope that you like the finished product. I'm really, really happy with it. Even though it's a slightly different style for me, I definitely think it's in the direction of where I would like to explore a bit more in the future. Thank you for spending your time with me, and I really hope you'll join me for my next video and my future videos. Please subscribe if you haven't hit the subscribe button. don't forget to hit that below. But I look forward to seeing you all again at some point. Have a lovely day, everyone. Bye for now.